Here at Mirror Now, we have relentlessly been keeping the focus on the mid-air extortion that passengers are suffering. The constant refrain from the airline industry and the Civil Aviation Ministry has been that this is a temporary phenomenon. It is seasonal and a regular occurrence. But is it really? Is a Mumbai-Delhi one-way ticket being close to 22,000 a regular occurrence? Can a Mumbai-Delhi fare for the 9th of June be justified at this rate? Can this mayhem be caused because of the disruption of flights of one airline, Go First, that had about 7% market share? It stopped flying since the 3rd of May. Over a month later, rates are still sky high. Is enough being done? Now, earlier this week, Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia said that after intervention, fares on at least 5 routes have dropped on the 6th of June. Let's listen in to what he said.
And I'm happy to say that post that meeting, contrary to what your statement is, where the maximum pressure in terms of pricing has been on Srinagar, Pune, Ahmedabad, and Leh. I had this meeting on the 6th and on the 5th, and as of yesterday, prices in the maximum prices in the Delhi-Srinagar route, the Delhi-Leh route, the Delhi-Pune route, the Delhi-Mumbai route have dropped between 14% to 61%. Okay? And this is something that the DGCA and my ministry is now monitoring on a daily basis.
So, have the fares really dropped as much as the minister is claiming? Let's take a look at fares on 3 key routes for tomorrow. And we've picked the fares where we have some historical data to make a comparison. So we can see what's happening on the 9th of June and what the drop has been. 9th of June, of course, is for tomorrow. Now, Delhi-Mumbai, which had a regular average price of about 9,000 rupees one way, and this 9,000 rupees price is something that we've picked up from December 2022 when we covered this story of airfares on Mirror Now. So that's the base fare we're going with. That on 8th of June, yesterday, was 19,762. And for tomorrow's 21,902. Where have we come up with that figure? We're taking an average price, taking into consideration the lowest and highest fare available on that route. So we're being completely transparent where the data is coming for on these charts we're putting out. Is that a regular fare? Close to 22,000 one way, Delhi-Mumbai? Close to 44,000 for a return? Is that a regular fare? Likewise for Delhi-Srinagar. Delhi-Srinagar becomes an important route because this was a route that Go First dominated, hence we saw the jump. Now, the usual price was around 4,000 rupees. That's as reported by the Times of India in early May when Go First initially made the announcement that it would not be flying post the 3rd of May. On 8th of June, the price for this ticket was 17,463. And on the 9th of June, it is 23,459. That's nearly 24,000 one way between Delhi and Srinagar. Let's pick up Delhi-Leh. Likewise, the Delhi-Leh ticket is nearly 5 times the usual rate. So now, where is that usual rate, you may ask? Again, we're referring to the Times of India's rates, which they put out when they first reported on the Go First shutdown or suspension of flights. That was on the 8th of June, 22,366. Yes, it is a little cheaper on the 9th of June at 13,701, but significantly higher, 3 times higher than the pre-Go First suspension rate. So you can't say this is a reasonable rate in any sense of the term. We in fact spoke to passengers today to get a sense of what they are experiencing.
I paid 15,000 rupees for the one ticket. So for the up and down ticket, I paid 30,000 rupees. So I'm coming back from Patna just now. So it's pinching.
Delhi to Bangalore, it's really very horrible. It's around 22,000. And surprisingly, when I am going Bangalore to Delhi, it is 5,000 only. Why that much difference is there? It's beyond imagination.
So basically we are students, right? And we have 1 month of holiday every semester. So we go back home. When I went back home, I booked a ticket for 6,000 rupees. When I came back, I booked a ticket for 11,000 rupees. And moreover, I'm a woman. So I have to book a ticket that is direct mostly, because all the tickets that are cheaper in the sense it is 8,000, 9,000 rupees. That is the cheaper tickets. They go from like all night layovers and 5 hours layovers. I cannot go through that, right? So I have to book just because I have to come here and because I'm a woman, I have to come by a very much more expensive flight.
You know, that's an important point that this passenger has made in our conversations with our reporters, because the argument is that people are buying the high airfares, so there's no real problem. These are some of the reasons people splurge or, out of pocket pay for those high airfares, because they don't have much of a choice. All of that has to be taken into consideration. I'm taking the conversation forward this evening with Sarosh Tamanna, who's an aviation lawyer. Devesh Agarwal, chief analyst at BangaloreAviation.com, is joining me on the show. UK Bose aviation expert is with me today on the show. And I'm also speaking with Subhash Goyal, chairman of the Expert Committee of Aviation, Tourism and Hospitality at the Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for speaking with us this evening on Beyond the Headline, as we keep pursuing the story and trying to understand what really is going on. Sarosh,
Thank you.
Damania, let me begin. Let me begin with your take really on what do you think is the justification for this kind of high airfares. We've been constantly hearing that go first flights, stopped running. And then there's summer peak travel, but this kind of a jump, multiple times jump and persisting?
The jump and the airfares, and they're claiming it to be seasonal jump or maybe a regular affair, I don't think is a justified reason or a justified answer what we are getting from the DGCA and the Aviation Minister. They are trying to explain that this situation of paying 20,000, 25,000, 30,000 for one-way fares between Bombay, Delhi is a normal phenomena every year, which is an incorrect proposition. And they be claiming it to be market up and down because of the market forces, because of the greater demand, may be one of the factors for a high rise. But the aviation regulator or the DGCA or the Ministry of Aviation is there for the welfare of the passengers. The whole idea behind a ministry being there for that aspect is they are supposed to protect the passengers from being exploited. They are supposed to have a control over the airlines that they do not exploit the passengers. Which today what we are seeing is they are just having mere meetings. They are just showing that they are doing something, but there is no stern action being taken. There are no price caps being brought in. So the aviation ministry has to step in and protect the rights of the passengers. Of course, passengers, the one justification is passengers are paying for it. But passengers are forced to pay for it. They have no other choice but to buy a ticket because they are supposed to be there. That is the reason they are paying
exactly.
for it.
We heard the student say, and she has to travel home. She is a woman traveler. She doesn't want to change flights and hop on flights. She wants one direct flight to go back home. People may have emergencies. There may be several reasons. Now, I want to understand what really are these communications that the Civil Aviation Ministry is having with the industry, where they tell them do something and then they say 14 to 61% drop in flights on that particular day. It doesn't seem to be holding. Even if there was a drop on one particular day, it doesn't seem to be holding. Devesh Agarwal, what really is happening, and should there at least be a clarity in what the mechanism is?
Hi, thanks for having me. See, right now, if you notice, in your own interview, the passenger said, Delhi to Bangalore is 20,000.
Right.
But Bangalore back to Delhi is only 5,000.
Right.
Why is that the case? Its bottom line is that it is now holiday season in Delhi and everybody wants to leave Delhi. There is only so much finite capacity available leaving Delhi. So it is purely a market-driven demand and supply. Why would that same airline, if it wanted to, indulge in fleecing, then they would also charge 20,000 going back to Delhi? But it's not the case. It is clearly a case of, market-driven demand. And I'm very sorry, but the moment you get government involved in regulating pricing, then you are creating a situation where, a simple arithmetic. A seat costs an airline roughly about 12,000 rupees from, say, Bangalore to Delhi or Delhi to Bangalore. That is the cost of operating that one seat. For every ticket they sell below 12,000 rupees, they have to sell one ticket above 12,000. So if you are going to get that 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 fare, which is being sold 2-3 months before the flight, you are going to have to compensate that with equally a 20,000 rupee fare, so that on the average, the airline
one
makes
minute.
money.
Can you explain 1 minute? Can you explain this math again? So they are selling some tickets below 12,000 and they have to compensate it with some tickets above 12,000.
Correct.
If a 12,000 ticket is sold to someone at 8,000, is anyone buying it for 4,000?
Yes, are we not seeing today? That's what the passenger himself said, that there is a flight from Delhi, from Bangalore back to Delhi is 5,000 rupees.
No, you gave the example of Delhi-Mumbai. So let's stick to Delhi-Mumbai. Delhi-Mumbai on the 9th of July, we checked the cheapest fare is about 7,500 to 8,000 rupees.
Delhi-Mumbai. What about Mumbai back to Delhi?
No, but you have given me the example of Mumbai-Delhi. Then you've switched midway to Bangalore-Delhi.
No,
So-
I'm explaining ma'am, I was saying Bangalore to Delhi because the passenger was talking about Delhi to Bangalore and return back to Delhi.
So your argument is that it's simple. People want to move out of Delhi to go to different places, and that's why it's a supply-demand situation. It's not price gouging, or it's nothing unusual.
Right. I just looked up Indigo's website. They've got 5, 6, 7 flights from Bombay to Delhi tomorrow for 5,281 rupees.
Okay. So your argument is that it's only out of Delhi that flights are right now very expensive. Subhash Goyal, would you concur that this is just a Delhi phenomenon? Is it just a Delhi phenomenon? Why are people in Bangalore crying? Why are people in different parts of the country crying?
No, I don't think so. I think I just looked up the fares on Indigo only. From Delhi to Mumbai was about 17,000 rupees. But it's not a question of when you are looking and when you are not looking. Many a times, when you look at a fare, it shows a lower fare, but when you actually go to book it, then at that time, it suddenly says the price has changed.
That's true. That's happened to all of us.
So the argument the airlines give is that, the argument that airlines give is that it's a free market economy and we should not regulate the fares. Then why are you regulating the fares for the poor taxi drivers who go from the airport to the city? You have fixed rates. So if you can have fixed rates for the taxi drivers, why can't we let us say the direct operating cost of Delhi to Mumbai is 5,000 rupees. We don't want the airlines to operate at a loss. So let the government give them 100% margin instead of 5,000, give them 10,000, even 12,000, but there should be an upper capping. You cannot exploit the consumer. You cannot, just because Go-Air has gone down, that doesn't mean that you have a right now to loot the public. I think this is not done in any, situation. And if you want to regulate only the poor taxi drivers,
I don't know about the taxi drivers. Okay, I'll get
Let
more
them
views.
also charge whatever they want to
I get more views on that. I don't know if the example or the parallel should be with taxi drivers. You would maybe have that parallel with Ola, Uber, which also work on surge pricing.
But the reason airlines give is we should not regulate the airfares.
Yeah.
That is wrong. The government has to step in. When the airfares are going skyrocketing, then it's the job of the regulatory authority, the DGCA, and the government to step in so that, airlines don't exploit the consumer.
Okay, let me get in UK Bose and his view on it. You have run an airline, Mr. Bose. Does price gouging actually happen? Would this be an opportunity for airlines? And coming from the point of view that we have suffered in the years of the pandemic, we had price caps in the years of the pandemic, especially when flying just started, and a few really tough months. This is our time to make money. Is that the point of view? Yes, Mr. Bose, can you hear me? I'm not sure.
Your voice is cracking. I can't hear properly.
Okay. Can you hear me now? All right, I'll revisit.
Tell me.
Yeah, okay. My question to you is that why do you think these airfares are going up? Is it simple supply demand, or airlines also making hay while the sun shines?
See, airfare in the aviation industry, what I feel, you cannot regulate the fare. It has to come from the airline side. How to create the market of low fare and other fare in the industry. There are so many ways to do that. For emergency traveling passengers who cannot afford this kind of a fare. So there are so many ways to do that for a traveler as well as for the airline industry. Now, industry has to look into how to do that. There are ways like when I was with the industry, we had one hopping flight fare. I mean, the flight going from one point to another point and then ultimately reaching the destination. So there you get few seats vacant every hop. So that can be created by the airline if that is there. Like Delhi, Bombay, somebody has to fly emergency. So if somebody has to fly, there could be a hopping flight fare from Delhi to Hyderabad and Hyderabad to Bombay. So that way, the airline can find out which are the sectors where they can take out few seats that can be sold on a lesser price. So we used to do that. We had flight from Delhi, Patna, Ranchi, Ranchi, Bombay. And we used to get 30, 40 passengers. We used to go vacant. So we introduced that fare,
right,
and the flight started going full. By doing that, there are so many ways. The ways has to be taken out by the airline industry.
No, but where is the incentive to do it? Saroj, Tamanna, where is the incentive to do it for the airline industry? That's the question. Where is the incentive?
What you said again, the voice cracked.
Yes, Mr. Tamanna, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, where is the incentive for the airline industry?
Regarding incentive for the airline industry, as we are seeing today, the airline, after the pandemic situation, there is a rise in the airline industry. There is a boom which is going on. So flights are going full. There is high demand. They are making profits. It is not about how much profit you make. So airlines also should have a view about it that the passengers should be able to afford the flights. Of course, you make profit. It is not, nobody is asking the airlines to function in a loss or suffer, take a kickback or something about that. But they should charge a reasonable amount of profit so the fares are affordable. And that is what we expect. If the airlines are themselves not doing something like that, we expect the government here, that is the Civil Aviation Ministry, to step in. Now, this also shows a lack of the problem of not having a national carrier, which as we had earlier. So during the time of Air India, when it was with government could regulate Air India fares, and this problem could have been cut down because one airline selling cheaper tickets, other airlines would have been forced to sell cheaper tickets.
Okay.
But today, not having a national carrier is also, this is the first time after the selling of Air India, such a situation has occurred. So that is also one of the impacts what we are facing today is government has no control over any airlines prices.
Should it have, or is that something we want? I'm not very sure. Devesh, you want to come in on this because the losses of Air India were being borne by the taxpayer. Either way you paid.
Exactly. If you recall, when Air India was finally sold, the accumulated losses of Air India were in excess of 110,000 crores
Government
or something
had to write
like
off
that.
a lot of it.
And I did a calculation. I said, with the accumulated losses of Air India, you could feed every hungry Indian citizen for a period of 2 years, at least one meal a day. Now, do we need a national carrier or do we need starving citizens? And, let me demonstrate a simple supply demand. For this Saturday 10th, Delhi to Leh, there are 4 flights. I'm just using Indigo as an example. The flight which leaves at 5:30 in the morning is 7,300. The one that leaves at 9:30 in the morning is 8,600. But the flights that leave at 11 and 11:30 are 20,000. It is a clear case of people wanting to fly at that particular time. So they're booking the seats. And as I said, it's a simple fare bucket system. As the lower cost buckets get filled up, the higher buckets come into place.
Fair enough, Devesh, but we're talking about the extent of those buckets. I understand the system, I understand the algo, but you will also admit that this is not business as usual.
I'm not saying no, but if you look at Indigo's results, their financial results, they have declared, they say my cost per seat kilometer is 4 rupees 26 paisa. It's very simple to do a calculation. 2,000 kilometers from Bangalore to Delhi is that much. If you take a seat factor of about 85%, it adds up to about 11,000 rupees. That's how I came up with that number of 11,000 being the median cost of a seat. Another thing, I'll give you a challenging thing. Indigo or no airline can fly a full 180 seats aircraft into Leh because of the altitude. They have to fill the plane only to 2/3 capacity. So Leh will automatically, when I'm not able to fill 180 seats, I can only fill 120 seats. Obviously, I have to take the cost of those 60 seats into that fare calculation. So what I'm trying to say is, fares are so variable. The number of variables working is in terms of the route, in terms of the time, in terms of the date, in terms of the season. It is just simply mind-boggling. And see what happens. Okay, we talk about a cap on airfare. Very good. Naturally, the airline will say, if you want me to cap my upper airfare, I want a basic minimum airfare.
Okay.
Now what happens?
That's what we had. We had that for a while. We had that for a while during COVID.
Yes. And what happened? You saw that the minimum fare was about 8,000 rupees. Now, what happens to the student who is willing to book a ticket 3 months in advance, knowing their holidays, and says, I can only afford 3,000-4,000 rupees? You are essentially knocking them out of the equation.
Okay. So, Sarosh, Tamanna, your response to the points that are being made by Mr. Devesh Agarwal.
The economics in the airline industry were always there. Why is there a immediate price rise or a sudden rise is still not justified by the calculation? There was always a demand. It is not there was no demand supply earlier. Flights are going, aviation industry has recovered since a long time now after COVID. So flights are being reasonably filled up. Of course, there is economics calculations are always there. But there has to be justified. Now a 30,000 rupee seat or a 25,000 rupee seat cannot be justified for one sector in a domestic sector where comparatively, giving example, if maybe even of the per kilometer cost or the per cost of that, I'm getting a Bombay, Mumbai, Dubai return fare for around 20,000 rupees.
Yeah.
And where I'm getting a Bombay, Delhi single sector for about 20,000 rupees. So logically, of course, calculation wise also, some other airlines are not selling that price for a loss. So that, of course, the economics and mathematics are always going to be there.
There has to be a more workable solution. Devesh, no one's argument is that airlines should not make any money, but there has to be a workable solution where you don't have these wild swings.
Basically, the situation right now is that passenger traffic is 110% of pre-COVID levels, and the available equipment, staff, etc., is at 90%. You have this gap of 20%. One of the things I would turn around and say, one of the longer term solutions is, see, this government, for instance, has placed such a high priority on transportation, but they're limiting themselves to surface transport, whether it's roads, railways, or ships. For a $5 trillion economy, if this is the vision of this country, air travel, whether it is domestic, whether it's international, cargo, or passenger, it has to become a core part of the government's infrastructure and priority initiative.
That is the Udan scheme.
So, ma'am, the Udan scheme is not that. I am sorry. The Udan scheme is a way to bring the less connected and less financially viable airports into the infrastructure. What are we doing in terms of reducing taxes on aviation fuel? Yep. We are not having multiple airports which encourage competition, so airports can charge whatever kind of
I will have to wrap because I have to play out this exclusive interview that we're going to do next, but we will pick this up. We'll get you back, Devesh, we'll get you back, Sarosh. But I have to wrap right now because I sat down with Vinay Dubey today. I thought we should get the other side of the story, right? We're talking about passengers. Passengers are upset. What's happening in the industry? I speak with Vinay Dubey after this break. Do watch that entire interview to know what the aviation industry perspective is. Stay tuned.